Imagine someone handing you $40 million.
Oh, wow. Yes, please.
Right. But, okay, imagine they hand you that enormous mountain of cash on, like, one single non-negotiable condition
Wicked.
that you never, ever step foot inside their building again.
Yeah, that's quite the condition.
It's wild. But today, we are taking a deep dive into exactly what happens when individuals at the absolute highest levels of professional basketball completely lose control.
It's going to be a good one.
Yeah. First, we're looking at a staggering 22-point playoff collapse where, frankly, a coach simply forgot how to hit the brakes.
Just totally froze up.
Exactly. And then we're going to pivot to a front office Game of Thrones that resulted in, like, the most expensive firing in NBA history. So welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's unpack this because the Cleveland Cavaliers' meltdown in Game 1 against the New York Knicks still, honestly, it does not compute for me.
It really doesn't.
The Cavs are up by 22 points.
Right.
There are just 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I mean, in any normal universe, you wrap it up and you start prepping the tape for Game 2.
I think so, yeah.
But instead, they end up losing 114-105 in overtime.
Yeah. And to truly grasp the magnitude of that collapse, we really have to look at the statistical graveyard that was that overtime period.
Oh, it was brutal.
It was. The Cavaliers scored 3 points in 5 minutes.
3?
3 points.
Mm-hmm.
And, all of those came from just jacking up 6 desperate three-point attempts.
Right. 0 inside presence.
Absolutely zero pressure in the paint. It was just a total systemic failure of both execution and strategy.
Yeah.
But the root cause, right, the absolute catalyst for this entire meltdown was Jalen Brunson.
Oh, absolutely. Brunson was, he was operating like a surgeon with a vendetta.
He really was.
He finished with 38 points, but it was really how he got them. He relentlessly, and I mean almost cruelly, hunted James Harden on defense.
Every single time down the floor.
Every single possession, Brunson called for a screen to force Harden to switch onto him.
Yeah, it was a masterclass in exploiting a single vulnerability.
Yeah.
Because if you are the Knicks, the scouting report is extremely clear, right?
Yeah.
James Harden, at this stage of his career, he simply does not have the legs.
Right, he's exhausted.
Exactly. He doesn't have the legs to carry an offense and serve as a primary point-of-attack defender in the fourth quarter of a grueling playoff game.
It's just too much.
And Brunson knew this. But, the real story is the tactical chess match that was happening beneath the surface.
Right, the adjustments.
Yeah. Initially, the Cavs tried to protect Harden by employing this strategy called ghost coverage.
Hold on, let's break that down for the casual fans listening, because ghost coverage sounds like a zone defense you would run in a haunted house.
Right.
But what are they actually doing on the hardwood when they run that?
Great question. So ghost coverage basically means a defender is, nominally assigned to guard a specific opposing player.
Right.
But in reality, they are completely ignoring that player.
Just leaving them alone.
Exactly. The defender floats away from their man to clog the paint and just build a wall against any drives to the basket.
Gotcha.
And the Cavs applied this exclusively to Josh Hart. They just left him wide open on the perimeter.
Wide open. And the underlying logic there is that Hart is a reluctant outside shooter.
Very reluctant.
Even though he shot around 40% this season, it was on very low volume.
Right.
When he catches the ball, he gets what analysts call DeMar DeRozan brain.
I love that term.
Yeah, meaning he catches the ball with just miles of open space around him, but his first instinct is to pump fake air.
Just completely hesitate.
Hesitate and try to drive for a contested mid-range shot instead of just, letting the open three-pointer fly.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that hesitation completely ruins the offensive spacing for the Knicks.
Because the defense doesn't have to move.
Right. If your own player refuses to shoot the open three, the defense has absolutely no reason to respect him. So the Cavs could just throw a wall of bodies in front of Jalen Brunson every single time he tried to drive. It was a really brilliant initial move by Cleveland.
It's like playing Jenga.
Okay, I like that.
The Cavs found the one block Josh Hart that they could safely pull out without the whole defensive tower falling over.
Right.
They just completely ignored him. But the Knicks didn't just roll over and accept it. They swapped that Jenga block out for dynamite.
Wow, that's a perfect way to look at it.
Yeah.
Because the Knicks recognized that the ghost coverage was just totally stalling their entire offense.
Right. Keep killing them.
So they made a brutal but, an entirely necessary coaching adjustment. They benched Josh Hart.
Which is huge because Hart brings incredible energy and rebound.
Yeah, benching him is a really tough call for a coach. But they inserted Landry Shamet.
Oh, and that changes everything.
It does.
Yeah.
Because suddenly the Knicks are running a 5-out shooter lineup.
Which means all 5 offensive players are standing outside the three-point line, just pulling every single rim protector out of the paint.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Shamet is a pure high-volume shooter. You absolutely cannot run ghost coverage on Landry Shamet.
No way.
If you leave him alone to go double-team Brunson, Shamet will catch and shoot in half a second, and he will make you pay instantly.
And that adjustment completely shattered the Cavs' defensive game plan.
Completely broke it.
Because now Cleveland cannot send any help to James Harden.
No help at all.
Harden is stranded on a deserted island with Jalen Brunson, and Brunson is just cooking him alive.
Yeah, it was ugly.
Which brings me to the coaching aspect. I
Okay.
mean, I am watching this slow-motion disaster unfold, kind of like a slow-motion car crash where the driver refuses to hit the brakes.
Right.
And Cavs coach Kenny Atkinson is just standing there.
Just watching it happen.
But wait, let me push back on my own frustration for a second here.
Okay, go ahead.
If you are Kenny Atkinson, James Hall of Fame Harden is on your roster. Doesn't conventional NBA wisdom dictate that you ride or die with your superstars in the playoffs?
That's the old school thinking. Yeah.
Because if Atkinson pulls Harden out the game and some bench player blows a rotation to lose the game, the media just crucifies Atkinson anyway, right?
That is the traditional mindset, yes.
Yeah.
But in the modern NBA, that mindset is a total trap.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
What we witnessed with Atkinson is a textbook example of cognitive overload in leadership.
Oh, that's an interesting term.
Yeah, when faced with immense, high-stakes pressure, decision makers often default to trusting past prestige.
Right, the Hall of Fame resume.
Exactly, rather than actually analyzing the real-time data in front of them.
Wow.
And the real-time data was screaming at Atkinson to make a change.
What was the data saying?
Well, for the 6th time in these playoffs, James Harden had more turnovers than made field goals. He was a complete liability on both ends of the floor. And look, you were up 20 points with 7 minutes left. You do not need a superstar's offense anymore.
Right.
You need defensive stops.
So what is the specific move Atkinson failed to make there?
It was a simple 3-minute defensive substitution.
Okay.
You pull an exhausted Harden and you put in Keon Ellis.
Right, Ellis.
Ellis is young. He is hyper-energetic. And, he actually had a positive plus-minus earlier in the game.
Meaning that when Ellis was on the floor, the Cavaliers were actively outscoring the Knicks.
Right. So you tap Ellis on the shoulder and you say, look, your only job for the next 3 minutes is to make Jalen Brunson uncomfortable.
Just pester him.
Exactly. Even if Ellis only forces one missed shot or, disrupts the timing of a single pass, you change the entire geometry of the Knicks' comeback.
Just buy some time.
But by doing nothing, Atkinson allowed Brunson to find a rhythm.
And once he finds it,
Once a scorer of Brunson's caliber sees the ball go through the hoop a few times, the rim looks 3 feet wide.
yeah. But, Atkinson actually had the nerve to bring up luck in his post-game presser. He talked about the bounces of the ball.
Yeah, I saw that. It's always unseemly to hear a head coach point to luck after blowing a 22-point lead.
Yeah, it's not a great look.
No. However, if we connect this to the bigger picture, from a pure physics standpoint regarding those final moments, he is not entirely wrong.
Okay, how so?
Well, the margins in the NBA playoffs truly are defined by millimeters.
Sure.
Late in the game, Landry Shamet hit a wild double-bounce three-pointer.
I remember that, yeah.
If that ball hits the rim at literally any other angle, it bounces out.
Just totally random physics.
Right. And then contrast that with the Cavaliers' final possession of regulation. Sam Merrill gets a picture-perfect, wide-open look to tie the game with 3 seconds left.
Oh, it's so clean.
It was. It was so clean that the broadcast announcer started calling it a game winner before the ball just bricked off the iron.
2 shots.
Yeah.
2 entirely different bounces. But here is where I lose sympathy for Atkinson, right? Because you cannot control the bounce of the ball, but you can control your rotations.
Yes.
You control your timeouts. You control putting a fresh defender on a scorching hot point guard.
Right.
Atkinson just froze. He lost control of the game because he let the prestige of a star player blind him to the reality of the situation.
And, that inability to adapt, that total loss of situational control, it actually brings us perfectly to the second half of our deep dive.
Let's do it.
Because while Kenny Atkinson lost control of a game by doing nothing, another highly prominent coach just lost his job by trying to grab entirely too much control.
Yeah, so let's move from the hardwood to the luxury suites because we need to talk about the Dallas Mavericks.
Yes, we do.
And the absolute shockwave they just sent through the league. The news dropped that Jason Kidd and the Mavs have, quote, mutually parted ways.
Mutually parted ways.
Right, which we all know that phrase is just a polite, PR-friendly way of saying he was fired.
Oh, absolutely fired.
But what makes this staggering, what makes this the most fascinating business story in sports right now, is the financial reality of the divorce.
The money is insane.
Jason Kidd had 4 years and roughly $40 million left on his guaranteed contract.
$40 million in dead money.
Yeah.
I mean, they are paying him an astronomical sum to actively not coach their basketball team.
It's wild.
And it tells us everything we need to know about the new power dynamics within the Dallas Mavericks organization.
Yeah.
This was a classic high-stakes front office Game of Thrones.
Right. So if you were listening to this and wondering why on earth a billionaire owner would just eat a $40 million loss, you really have to look at the players involved in this power struggle.
You do.
Set the scene for us. Who is clashing behind closed doors in Dallas?
Okay, so the new regime in Dallas is led by team president Masai Ujiri and general manager Mike Schmitz.
Okay.
And history tells us that when a new high-profile executive like Ujiri comes in, they almost always want to sweep the house clean.
Bring in their own guys.
Right? Put their own people in place. Ujiri is a championship-winning architect who operates with, absolute unquestioned authority.
He's the boss.
He is the boss. Mike Schmitz, on the other hand, is a universally respected talent evaluator and draft guru, but this is his very first time sitting in the general manager chair.
Right. And sitting right below them is Jason Kidd.
Yes.
A Hall of Fame player with a pretty massive ego and a very well-documented desire to hold the ultimate power in an organization.
And that is the friction point.
Yeah.
Because Kidd didn't just want to be the head coach.
Yeah.
He openly lobbied for that GM or president throne for himself.
Oh, right.
So just imagine the bruised ego here.
Oh, I can imagine.
Not only does Kidd get passed over for the top job by the arrival of Masai Ujiri,
ouch.
but then Ujiri brings in Mike Schmitz, a guy with zero prior GM experience.
Right.
And essentially makes him Jason Kidd's direct boss.
Yeah, that's gotta sting.
The power balance was completely inverted from what Kidd wanted. The awkwardness in that building must have been just suffocating.
I bet.
Kidd having to report to Schmitz was simply never going to work long term.
Which brings us to the ultimate ownership flex.
Yes.
The Mavericks are now backed by Patrick Dumont and the Las Vegas Sands ownership group.
Big casino money.
Exactly. To me, eating this contract screams, look, we have infinite casino money and we do not care about your contract.
Right.
It is the ultimate example of what we can call the price alignment.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, they are willing to set fire to $40 million just to ensure that every single person in the front office, from the scouts to the head coach, is pulling the rope in the exact same direction.
The price of alignment is the perfect phrase for it.
Yeah.
Because if Masai Ujiri felt that Kidd was even slightly resistant to his vision for roster construction, then $40 million is viewed as just a necessary business expense to remove the friction.
Just a cost of doing business.
Exactly. Especially when you consider the historical baggage that Jason Kidd carries with him.
Oh, the baggage. Let's dig into that baggage because, you don't jettison a coach and eat $40 million unless the guy is actively toxic to your future plans.
Right.
First, we have to establish the context of the current Dallas roster for anyone who maybe hasn't been following the recent shakeups.
Right.
Luka Doncic is no longer a Maverick.
Yeah. Still crazy to think about.
He was traded away, and the Mavericks have completely pivoted their timeline.
Right. And Jason Kidd was intimately connected to the groundwork of that blockbuster trade that sent Luka away.
Which is wild.
And that maneuver alone completely isolated Kidd from the Dallas fan base.
Oh, they turned on him immediately.
Yeah. But more fundamentally, we have to look at why the trust between Kidd and Luka was broken long before the trade even happened.
Okay, why was it broken?
Well, Kidd's offensive system historically marginalized Luka's preferred style of play.
It demanded a different pace, right?
Exactly, a different pace that really frustrated the superstar. Furthermore, Luka was acutely aware that Kidd was heavily involved in backdoor trade talks regarding his future.
Oh, man.
So the trust was just entirely shattered.
And this back-channeling behavior, it's not a one-off issue for Jason Kidd.
Not at all.
He has a reputation across the league. Some executives genuinely view him as one of the shadiest operators in the NBA.
It is a totally documented pattern of manipulative behavior.
Right.
Let's look at the history, because you can trace this directly back to his time coaching the Milwaukee Bucks.
Right.
Kidd attempted a literal front office coup.
He tried to overthrow the GM.
Yes, he tried to go over the head of the general manager straight to the ownership group to consolidate player personnel power for himself.
And it backfired.
Spectacularly.
And he was ousted.
And we can't forget the infamous hit me incident when he was coaching the Brooklyn Nets.
Oh, that is the perfect microcosm of his mindset.
Walk us through that one again.
So during a tight game, the Nets were completely out of timeouts.
Kidd needed to stop the clock to draw up a defensive play.
Because they were scrambling.
Exactly. So holding a cup of soda on the sideline, he subtly mouthed the words, "Hit me," to his own player, Tyshawn Taylor.
His own player.
Yes. Taylor bumped into him. Kidd intentionally spilled his drink all over the court, and the referees had to stop the game to clean it up.
He literally manufactured a free timeout with a sticky soda.
He did. He is always looking for an angle, always trying to manipulate the rules or the organizational structure to empower himself,
Right.
almost always at the expense of team culture. He even frequently used media rumors like planting whispers that the New York Knicks wanted to hire him solely to leverage contact extensions out of his current employers.
So what does this all mean? Knowing all of this, let me ask the obvious question. Who on earth actually hires him next?
It's a great question.
If he is universally viewed as a toxic, power-hungry asset, where does he go? Because there's a lot of speculation floating around that he might land in Portland.
Portland, yeah.
And Portland has a notoriously cheap, cost-cutting front office right now. The theory is they might bring him in on a massive discount because Dallas is already paying his salary.
That theory is highly plausible from a purely financial standpoint, mainly due to what are called offset clauses in coaching contracts.
Wait, explain the mechanics of that offset clause. Does that mean Portland gets a discount because Dallas is footing the bill?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So an offset clause means that if Portland hires Jason Kidd for, let's say, $3 million a year,
Okay.
Dallas gets to subtract that $3 million from the $10 million a year they currently owe him.
I see.
So Portland gets a veteran coach for pennies on the dollar, Dallas gets slight financial relief, and Kidd doesn't actually make any extra money.
Right, he's capped.
Right, he just gets to keep a head coaching title.
Interesting.
But while Kidd's future is interesting, what's fascinating here is the massive ripple effect of this firing.
Yeah.
The vacuum it creates in Dallas.
Yeah.
Because the Mavericks job just became the single most coveted coaching vacancy in professional basketball.
Because of one name, Cooper Flagg.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Thanks to their recent roster teardown, the Mavericks now have a true generational talent in Cooper Flagg.
It's unbelievable.
You have a young superstar to build around an ownership group that treats $40 million like pocket change to ensure a winning environment.
Yeah.
And you have one of the most respected executives in Masai Ujiri calling the shots and shielding you from the media.
It is an absolute goldmine for whoever gets the job. But it forces Ujiri to answer a massive philosophical question about team building.
It really does.
Yeah.
Do they go out and find a young developmental coach?
Right.
Someone who can grow alongside Cooper Flagg, install a modern offensive system from the ground up, and, establish a long-term drama-free culture? Or because they have infinite resources, do they try to accelerate the timeline immediately?
Yeah.
Do they hire a veteran, championship-proven name like Ty Lue?
Oh, that would be massive.
Right. A coach who knows exactly how to manage superstar egos and navigate the deep waters of the playoffs.
It is the ultimate team-building pivot point. You are trying to build a dynasty from scratch, but you are operating in a modern sports landscape where patience is basically non-existent.
Exactly.
Which actually brings me back to the money. And this is the thought I want to leave you, the listener, with today.
Okay.
When you have ultra-wealthy ownership groups, like the Las Vegas Sands Group in Dallas, who treat a $40 million guaranteed contract like it is literal spare change found in the couch cushions.
Just pennies to them.
Right. Does it completely break the traditional power dynamics of the entire league?
That is the big question.
For decades, we have thought of these massive multi-year contracts as security blankets for coaches.
Right.
A shield against being fired on a whim. But if the money means absolutely nothing to the billionaire writing the check, does it make every single coach entirely expendable the very second they stop, perfectly aligning with front office's vision?
It absolutely redefines what job security means in the modern NBA.
Completely.
The contract is no longer a shield protecting the coach. It is just a pre-negotiated severance package waiting to be triggered the moment alignment falters.
It takes us right back to where we started our conversation today.
It really does.
Whether you are Kenny Atkinson refusing to make a substitution while a 22-point playoff lead just vanishes into thin air,
Yeah.
or you are Jason Kidd trying to strong-arm a front office that has significantly deeper pockets than you do.
Right.
The moment you lose your grip on the steering wheel, you are already over the cliff. The crash is just a formality.
Very well said.
Thank you for listening. Please comment, like, subscribe if you're on YouTube. Spotify, please leave 5-star review. It will help the channel grow. Until next time, please check our previous episodes.